YouTube, what's going on? Andrew Darling here, Mr. Darling 4. I've since went back to a cell phone, but I did use the iPad Pro 10.5 as my only device for over a week. So I want to give you guys sort of a quick update on what that was like, whether it was good, whether it was bad, and whatnot. I'm going to get into a more in-depth video on sort of how to set up your iPad to be a phone, because there are some steps that you need to go to. I'm going to cover them really quick now, but I'm going to do a more in-depth video where I do some sort of screen recording on the iPad and whatnot. So you're going to need an app called Talkatone, Talkatone, Talkatone. That's going to allow you to set up a cell phone number. What you're going to do then is you can then port whatever your real cell phone number is that you have with the carrier. You can port that over to Google Voice. So you'll receive calls and texts on Google Voice. You'll receive pictures, MMS and SMS to Google Voice. That's where you start. And if everybody has your phone number and your email address saved for iMessage, you can continue all your conversations in iMessage, and you don't even really have to worry about that part. So once you get the new number on Talkatone, then you need to have Google Voice send a text message to the Talkatone number to verify it, and then it will ring through to your phone. So it'll generally ring through to Hangouts audio, but you have to have another phone set up. So when somebody calls your Google Voice number, it'll ring through to Hangouts audio. You can answer it right on the iPad. It'll ring in, no problems. Generally, if you give somebody the Talkatone number, it'll ring in the same way. You can do text. So you can really separate. If you have like a business number and a regular cell phone, you can really sort of split up how you want to do it and use different apps for different purposes. If you had to choose only one device, you could definitely make the iPad Pro 10.5 work. The only thing that I seem to have issues with when I was using it was when you get that random phone call and you don't already have your AirPods in. So I did use AirPods for the majority of the time I was using it. Phone calls were over Bluetooth in the car, or just using, like I said, AirPods with the iPad Pro. I really didn't have any issues. I did notice that so when I ported my number from a phone to Google Voice. That phone I never reset. So all the text messages that were on iMessage were still coming through iMessage. Once I did a factory reset to the phone, all my text messages started going to Google Voice, including iMessage text messages. They went to Google Voice. So some people had my email saved and my number, and those conversations stayed in iMessage. So there are some little twerks to figure out exactly what you want to do with it. But can you use it as a phone? Absolutely. Can you use it with wired headphones? Yeah, you can do that. You just have your regular old wired headphones that come with a phone, with an iPhone. Or you can use wireless headphones, whatever you choose. I chose AirPods. Their battery life is really solid for me, and they're really comfortable. They fit in my ears. They don't fall out, which is more than I can say for any other earphones that I've tried previously, including most of the older Apple EarPods. They just didn't sit well, but the AirPods sit really well. So how did it work overall for the little more than a week that I had the iPad as my sole device? It was a particular challenge. There are a lot of times that you walk around that you don't really think about, and just having an iPad with you is not the most convenient. We knew that sort of going into it, and it's something I learned 3 or 4 years ago when I did or maybe it was 5 years ago now, when I used the Galaxy Note 8.0 from a long time ago, which had the cell phone radios in it. One of the things to definitely consider, okay? So with the iPad, if there was an iPad Mini 4, which I guess technically there is, but if there is one with LTE that you were able to get for a decent price and you wanted to try this out, you could absolutely do this. The iPad Mini 4 is going to give you sort of pocketability. So I had an iPad Mini 4 for a while. I was using it for taking notes and stuff in class in law school. And you can do it. You can use it. It'll work for you. One advantage to having a single device is you don't have to sort of strategically charge your devices, which is something that if you only I bring one of the basically the iPad charger, the 12 watt, I think it is, charger. You can get the USB-C one for the faster charging, but the 12 watt one seems to do more than sufficient for me, charging both an iPad and an iPhone if I have both of them. But when you are only using the iPad, you don't necessarily have to worry about charging two devices at different times and all kind of just sort of craziness. So overall experience, it was actually better than I thought it was. I didn't think it was going to be very difficult, and it wasn't. Like I said, sometimes inconvenient, going grocery shopping. I did learn, though, that the iPad does sit really nicely in that front where kids are supposed to sit in grocery carts. It sits right there real nice so you can look at your shopping list. But like I said, not very convenient. There isn't a pocket that I'm aware of that's going to fit the iPad Pro 10.5, and most certainly not the 12.9 if you had that one instead. It is sort of a hassle to get used to, we'll say, swipe typing on the iPad Pro. So I might have actually taken SwiftKey off of here by now. But so the typing here at the bottom, let's see if we can get it to focus in here. Yeah. So the typing is not always easy. If I switch it over, if I still have, there it is. Okay, so I have SwiftKey on here so you can swipe. So if we do something like all the things, all the something, all the rivets apparently. But obviously I wasn't really paying too much attention to it. This has just happened to be, there we go. This just sort of happened to be, right here. But when you have this mounted, so I have a car mount for it. And I put it in my car mount facing me the same way that you would have your phone. And occasionally you'll get text messages, and if you're stopped or whatever, you can respond to it. It's not convenient. Most of the stuff you're going to want to respond to is with the sort of dictation, the voice-to-text stuff, which works. It doesn't work incredibly well for Siri, but if you install the Google keyboard, you can actually use Google their voice dictation for it. So that's another option to avoid Siri's voice dictation, which is good, but just not quite to where Google's is at this point. I kind of enjoyed the time doing it because it was something different. It was something that I needed to just make sure it wasn't a practical solution again. So for most, I would argue for 85% of people, it's not going to be a practical solution. So that 15%, who do I think that is? I think that could be a college kid. And I say that because college kids, except for when they go out and have fun or go out clubbing or whatever, they're going to have a book bag on them. So for me, you can answer this on your AirPods by touching a button. You can set your device up to tell you when you have Bluetooth headphones connected who is calling, to essentially read the caller ID to you. So if you're going to do that, you can use this. And here's the craziest part. So this device, the 256 gig iPad Pro 10.5, is under $1,000. If you get a 256 gig iPhone 8, you're up in like $850. If you get the 8 Plus, you're getting close to $1,000. I think you're actually above $1,000 if you get the 256 gig model. But if you get the iPhone 10, you're at $1,200. So you can actually save a little money. And if you're on somebody else's data plan, you can save money actually by having this device. So if a cost savings over a long period of time and you need a device for school, so say you have a sort of just a manageable laptop, one of your $500 laptops that you can do all of your word processing and stuff on and make sure that the formatting is correct and whatnot, you can do the vast majority of that on this. And that's something that I really like about it. You can bring up the side-by-side apps. If you have like a PDF and you have a Word document, you can do that. There's a lot that you can do on the iPad Pro that you just simply can't do on a phone because of the screen size. If you're in a situation where, you're maybe still on your parents' plan or whatnot, and you can only have one device and you're going to college, this might be a better choice. You're not going to run out of battery. I worked it pretty much an entire day. And I was down to in the teens at the end of the day. And this is taking notes in class. This is listening to podcasts for the entire drive from Orlando down to Miami. Internship for 6 hours in the morning. Class for another 6 hours. And then, sort of late night scrolling on social media and whatnot before going to bed. And I didn't kill it. So I'm going to do one more video about this. which is really just going to go through and show you how to set it up as a phone, which is probably going to be more valuable than this, 10 plus minutes that I've sort of discussed my experience with it. Let me know in the comments what you think about this experience. So, of course, I do have the smart cover as well. The smart cover adds a lot when you're sitting and you have a desk, or you're sitting and you want to balance it on your lap. It really does work well, but if work well isn't enough for you and you want to go back to the phone, that's another route as well. So I went back to the regular iPhone 8. I got rid of the 8 Plus, which actually felt normal when I got done using the iPad Pro. But I like the smaller phones. I'm enjoying it. It's nice to be back. I sort of appreciate a lot of the finer parts of a phone now after having used the iPad Pro for a while. So let me know in the comments what you think. What else do you want to know sort of about the experience? I'm more than willing to exchange stuff down here in the comments, let you know what I think, if you let me know what you think about it. Or what other questions you have if you're thinking about making the transition, what other apps you might need and whatnot. Let me know below. Thank you guys so much. Comment, like, subscribe, all that cool stuff. I'm closing in on 2,500 subscribers, which is pretty cool for me. So thank you guys so much for your time. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. And yeah. Peace. Have a good one. Talk to you soon.